thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sawyer. All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillor, before we go, once again, thank you for making the time and going down to view that wonderful centre, and it's good that Council go down there as a united group to show a bit of support, and we do wish them well. Page 76, councillors, it's item NM9/19, so notice of motion to the Royal Commission from Councillor Verry. Councillor Verry, being the author, do you wish to move that way? Second, please. Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Councillor Verry, I'll hand over you to present your notice of motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say there's a couple of things have changed since there. We're up to 3 million hectares now we've burnt, 700 houses. That's just changed in the last month since I wrote this motion. And also, the government has announced they're going to have an investigation into national parks.
Good.
But I do think, I can tell you the answer to that now, actually it'll be we've done nothing wrong, it's all climate change, as the Minister's already said. So I think that's just a waste of time, that investigation. I really think we need a Royal Commission into manage of public land Australia-wide, actually. But surely for the fact we've got to use helicopters, planes, massive amount of other equipment to fight these fires, it must be an admission of defeat, I think, at least compared to how we were able to control fires as little as 40 years ago. All that we needed then were a couple of hose, rake, knapsacks, etc. All that's changed because we've over-regulated vegetation in the name of climate change, causing massive fuel loads. What we need now is deregulation, a comprehensive education program highlighting the need for regular hazard reduction. The cost of a Royal Commission pales into insignificance compared to the cost of these fires. How much value to put on human lives, destruction of the environment, including massive loss of wildlife. Who knows how many endangered species have been pushed to the brink from what is nothing more than mismanagement. Then the actual dollar cost and loss of property, infrastructure, time lost fighting fires, and the recovery cost, which will take years. To put fuel loads into some sort of understandable perspective, it's been said that the 2018 fire in the parks around Bundamanoo had a conservative 25 tonnes of dry matter per hectare. The miscalculation was that there's probably that much, again, partially dry fuel in what is seen as green leaves already exploding in a fireball. When you put 25 tonnes into perspective in another way, that's equivalent to 25 tonnes, I've got to work that out in a hurry. A lot. Yeah, there's 6 drums of fuel to a tonne.
Yep.
And 2 drums of fuel, or 2.5 drums of fuel equivalent to a tonne of firewood. So you spread that over a hectare and you've got a bloody lot of fire material sitting there. At present, at best, what we are witnessing is the government's managing the demise of the environment on an Australia-wide basis. Royal Commission into the Victorian fires focused on the response, ignored the cause, which excessive fuel loads, which disappointed a lot of people. Quite frankly, I think people of Australia owed an apology by the government of the day for losses due to these fires. It's not as if the government wasn't warned about the risk when vegetation laws were introduced several decades ago. There are quite a number of species that are known with local names blackbit. They weren't called blackbit because they had rainbow-coloured bark, but because the bark was burnt black. When Cunningham traversed through the area, he noticed, like every other explorer, Aboriginal burning. Matthew Marsh in his diary praised the area, noting how beautiful the area was. He never mentioned the charcoal deserts we're seeing today. And we'll continue to see this unless the pseudo-experts of people are replaced by people who know how to manage the landscape.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, this is a notice of motion, so Councillor Sawyer, obviously Councillor Verry's presented the motion. Do you wish to speak to the motion? Any speakers against? A question to do with the notice of motion? Beg your pardon? Well, Councillor, I need to ask, to be fair to everyone, just bear with me. Councillor Verry, before I go to Councillor Roman, she has a question. Are you happy, in the recommendation, in the red, are you happy to put New South Wales country mayors in there also, at the bottom?
Absolutely.
JO councils and the block? Because happy to drive that, and I hope to get the Minister there, Matt Keane, to address that meeting early in the new year. that okay? How many councillors that we don't do amendment there, just add that to that bottom? Thank you councillor Berry. Councillor Roman, you got a question?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. A question to Councillor Berry. Will this also include Tenterfield Shire lands that we are in charge of as well? When we're talking about Crown lands
Yeah.
and stock routes, etc., I know that's picking up National Park, State Forest, the local land services and anything else, but are we excusing ourselves from this? That's the first part of my question, thanks.
Well, I didn't include council roads, road reserves, etc., basically because I didn't know what the cost would be to local government. I know what the cost is to landholders, so I left it out deliberately. But you could include it if you wished.
No, I was just concerned about an accusation then that we aren't walking the talk. The other thing is that a Royal Commission, as we know, they take some time and extremely costly. I think you're quite right that at the moment all the responses are that we do hazard reduction, we do this, it's all climate change. National Parks have come out in response to Andrew Herford, who's the head of Timber New South Wales and also Hereford Timbers. They've got their own plantations, etc., around Lismore in that area. And he was in the Northern Star last week saying that the Crown land is the worst neighbour you can possibly have. He also has a video showing the fire coming out of the National Park into his plantation, and when it got into his plantation, which had reduced fuel loads, the fire went from a Crown fire onto the ground and actually got it out within the plantation, which proves the point. That exactly is what you're saying. But he's being now vilified, and they're saying, National Parks are saying, we do the most hazard reduction in the state. They do. Their target is 135,000 hectares of a 7 million hectare estate. In other words, less than 2%, just less than 2% of what they have, and they've got 9% of the state. So obviously if you extrapolate that out, it's going to take over 50 years to get around the whole thing if they were to do it all. State Forest, since Forestry Corp took over in 2012, they have done
Councillor,
less.
please. I need you had a question,
Yep.
please, because the motion's there and it is a notice of motion, please.
So can we, okay.
So, with respect of us, the mover to add in New South Wales Country Mayors, the mover and the seconder have accepted that. So, did you want to do something with the recommendation?
So
I'm not
can we
trying to rush
speak
out
whether
there
we're
through
forward
Councillor
or not,
Roman,
or not?
but you've given us a lot of information, which is very appreciative, but we've got a lot of information in the report also.
Well, I can't see anything here that I'm speaking of that is in this report, which is why I'm adding the information.
Right.
So,
But bear with me, Councillor, we're
Yeah.
chairing a meeting. It's a notice of motion. We've got a mover and a seconder. So it isn't, you're asked to speak and a question to do with this notice of motion.
yes, which Councillor Berry responded to.
Yep.
Can I now not speak to the motion?
You can, but if there's no speakers against, I'm going to put the motion. Because we're all on the same page here. So any speakers against the motion?
I'm concerned about the Royal Commission.
Right. So in what way, Councillor, do you think it's too strong or it's a waste of time or?
The trouble with the Royal Commission is the cost, the
Right.
sheer cost of it. Is it a state Royal Commission? Is it a federal Royal Commission?
Okay.
There are two. Is it a New South Wales Royal Commission? Or is it a federal?
Yep. Well,
Yeah, I mean, Councillor Berry did say it should be Australia-wide, so my inference then is it's
referring
a
back
New
to the
South Wales
recommendation,
one,
yeah,
but
referring back
that
to
is
the,
included under
to the
choice.
recommendation, it's call on the state member, so there's our state, so that's answered that, and calling on our federal member.
So is it
And I
both?
know you'll get full support from them. They might come back to answer your question, councillor, and say, Royal Commission's the big gig, it's going to cost whatever.
But are we asking, we've called on both the state and the federal member, are we asking for a New South Wales Royal Commission? Are we asking for a federal Royal
Fair
Commission?
question. If you'd started with that to start, well, that's a good question.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps the writer of the motion would accept for a Royal Commission in both jurisdictions, into the management, and that will cover.
Yep. Happy with that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Happy with that, but I am concerned about royal commissions because they can cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Councillor, I
But if
totally
it's costing us
agree.
hundreds of millions of dollars in firefighting,
Yep.
which, as Councillor Very quite correctly said,
Yep.
is wrong, but it's not just hazard reduction, it's also the management of the fires. So can I would actually like to add, he's got into the management of national parks, blah, 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 also the management of the fire fighting. Because as we know, this shire at the moment is still being inundated by fire. One particular fire, 3 times could have been stopped within a few hours' work, and each time it was decided by the person in charge, the single person,
Yep.
to be of low priority and not have enough resources.
So
The
where did you-
subsequent resources have been massive.
With what you wish to do, councillor, where did you want to put in the recommendation? Just to be clear, with the change, we've got the Royal Commission in both jurisdictions, so move and a second, are happy with that? Okay, so what did you wish
That's
to
good,
do,
if that
councillor,
clarifies
please?
that. It would probably, a part B is also it's part of the Royal Commission, into the management of Section 44 fires.
Right. Simple as that?
As simple as that.
Move and a second, are you happy with that?
I didn't put that in, Mr Mayor, initially because there's been a Royal Commission into that in Victoria.
Yep.
But that was Victoria only.
Yep.
So I'm happy to leave it in there for...
Just out of interest, councillor, just recently, I see.
No, a couple of, 2000 and I forget what it was.
Okay.
7 or 2 or something.
So how are we going now, no? Doctorates and other Crown lands and management of Section 44 fires. So, Nine, as described, has added that into number 1? Yeah. You happy with that? Right. Sorry?
The other issue is, as we know from our previous meetings, part of the reason people are not doing hazard reduction,
Yep.
national parks say they do the most in the state. What they forget is most farmers now call their hazard reduction agricultural burning because the last 10 years of changes in the RFS Act require hard edges, like completely bare ground. In tablelands country, eastern four country, you cannot do it. You would therefore lose a lot of country that will never be hazard reduction reduced, et cetera, et cetera. There are stipulations within that have reduced the ability of landowners to do proper hazard reduction. So it would be management section 44 fires and RFS. Anyway, in some way there that we can look at how the hazard reduction is impacting on inhibition to landowners to conduct hazard reduction. How about that?
Right. Well, you're adding on and move to
Right,
second.
okay, so
Got
the
a
management of
second?
section 44
Yeah.
fires and legislative inhibition. Sorry.
No. It's just, yeah, the end good. Yep, very good.
Oh, just put, and restrictions on to landholders to conduct hazard reduction,
Yep,
pre-fire season,
to landholders to,
to conduct
Reduction.
preventative hazard reduction,
okay.
and I'm happy.
Move in the second. Move it, okay. We'll put the motion, councillors, all in favour? Against, carried, unanimous. Page 78, councillors, it's another notice of motion, it's item NM10/19, road naming. Councillor Very being the author, you wish to move that way? A second there, please. Councillor Murray, I thank you. Councillor Very, would you like to present your notice of motion?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I thought somebody was going to speak on this for me today, but they didn't turn up, and I did send you all a email about the naming of Old Maryland Lane and Caterines Lane.
Yep.
And that just about covers a lot. And I'm pretty sure that with the process we're going to go down, the Geographical Names Places Board will come to Liston like they did before, and the community will have their say. Am I correct in saying that?
Through you, Mr Mayor, even if the Geographical Board doesn't, our council's got an obligation to do anyway.
Because it's notice motion.
Yeah, that's why I haven't suggested any names for these areas, and a couple that Red Ridge Road was contentious when it was named at the time.
Yep.
And the other couple are self-explanatory, and the streets around Liston, I've been asked on that one several times. I think we brought that up when the Geographical Names Places Board come to Liston to name Maryland Station area.
Yep.
Thank you.
Councillor Murray, being a notice of motion, did you wish to speak to the motion? No. Okay. You just seconded it out of the goodness of your heart. Good man. Any other speakers against? Before we put, I'm sorry, councillor. Question?
You know, when we saw Mr. Burton's coach, he told us then that a previous engineer had changed the name without any notice of that road. Is it one of these?
No, no. Is it?
Yes, the 7 mile,
You spoke about this the other day, just.
7 mile, herding yard road.
Okay, that's good, so that'll get sorted that. Okay, councillor, I commend you bringing it forward, and in your background, that is, everything you mentioned is, I say this as mayor, we cover a big area, so for safety reasons and for emergency services, it is important we get this right, and we all know this is going to take a little time, but it's a good start.
The other day, a fire crew from Stanthorpe were lost looking for Old Maryland Lane.
Yep, all good. Okay, councillors, the notice of motions there, all in favour? Unanimous. Councillor, we come to the back of the book, page 81. It's RES 11/19, council resolution registered December 2019. Moving to seconder here, please. Councillor Bowman Petrie, thank you. Seconder. You want to have a go, Councillor McNish, a second? That'll be good. Councillor McNish, I just wanted to get you on there, Councillor, that's all. I noticed your absence. And I'll hand over to the CEO to present the council resolution register.
Through you, Mr Mayor, happy to accept any questions by exception.
Questions to the CEO to do with the resolution register? No? Officers' recommendations there, councillors? All happy to note? Again, carried. Councillors, that's the end of our open forum. We go into confidential. Would someone like to move that we go into confidential? Councillor Gary Very, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Bowman Petrie, thank you.